of what they have had to go through. And of course we are deep, was telling me earlier. And for those of you who get the
he's doing and working towards, I hope that before too long we'll see you progressing back out to this side of the fence, so that you can stand here and look at this side of the fence, and I wish you well with that.
Newcastle Council last year invested the money in Alan Neighbours' sloop, Newcastle Australia, on the understanding the loan would be cleared when the yacht was sold. Now, a year after the race, the boat is still sitting at Charleston in South Carolina. And with no interested buyers on the horizon, the Council's hopes of selling the specialist yacht to a competitor in the next World Challenge also appear grim, with the 1998 race unlikely to proceed.
It's less and less likely that there's going to be another race in '98. We were hoping that there would be, because we would have got a better price.
The Council is now preparing to attend a meeting of creditors organised by Alan Neighbours solicitors, and an auction of the boat for less than the $200,000 the Council had hoped to receive seems the most likely solution.
Basically, we were looking for the sale price to recover our debt, which is approximately about $150,000. And so this is the reason that we need to meet with the other people who are owed money. I don't know. It really depends on the auction price, what we can get in the auction.
The Council is also expected to look at alternative plans for recouping the debt. Emma Ossian, NBN News.
It's the premier event on the country tennis calendar, and from across the state the best junior players took to the courts in Newcastle for the start of the competition. The tournament features the cream of junior talent, 3-set matches with players vying for age titles and representative honours. A great start for the Central Coast's Adam Feeney. The 11-year-old has never been beaten in his own age group and was rarely troubled in today's round 1 clash with Adam Hollis. Seeded 1 in his division, Feeney advanced with a straight sets victory. Also through in straight sets, Lisa Brooks. In the 14 years and under competition, Brooks in the blue won the first set 6-2 in her match against Newcastle's Sandy Knight. That laid the foundations for the number 3 seed with a faultless performance in the second, winning 6-2, 6-love. And Kempsey's Ben McIntyre has also advanced to round 2 of the championships, eliminating Narrabri's Trent George. George was hoping to follow in the footsteps of hometown hero Jason Stoltenberg, but was overcome in 2 sets. Junior finals are on Thursday, with the open competition starting on Friday. Jonathan Upton, NBN News. The match against Canberra is one Darren Tracy would rather forget. The 25-year-old second rower struggled with his ball control. Today he was dropped to reserves.
Obviously we turned a lot of ball over against Canberra, and it was very costly for us. And the guy who came on, Troy Fletcher, did nothing wrong and deserves an opportunity.
Fletcher replaces Tracy on the bench, and the only other change, Adam Muir may be back from a knee injury. He's been penciled in, but there is doubt that he'll be fit.
Adam's not very convinced that it's right.
Preparing for Monday's game won't be easy. Gone from the team that lost to the Raiders are the representative stars, the Johns brothers, Adam Muir and Captain Paul Harrigan. They won't return to the team until after the Fijian test. No such problems for Brisbane.
They'll have a free week to prepare, and in contrast to ourselves, it's the ideal kind of preparation.
Jonathan Upton, NBN News.
The contractors don't really have time to enjoy the view as they work on the centrepiece of the new development at Rafferty's Resort on the southeastern shore of Lake Macquarie. The Stronach company is building a $1.5 million conference and restaurant complex here. It's also investing another $9 million or so over the next 3 years on new tourist bungalows for the resort.
Lake Macquarie is one of the best facilities in the state. I mean, it's just so close to Sydney. It's got great sailing and recreational facilities. I grew up here, sailed all my life at Lake Macquarie, and I loved it. So you couldn't get a better position, in my view.
Rafferty's currently boasts about a 60% occupancy rate. Once the conference centre and restaurant facilities are in place, that figure is expected to jump. With 300 beds, the resort is already the biggest tourist accommodation facility in the Hunter. While the new development will effectively double its size, it's been designed to fit in with the green lakeside environment, which Rafferty's banks on for its business.
We intend to market fairly aggressively both domestically and internationally, and I think that Lake Macquarie will be well known right around the world in the next few years.
The conference complex and the first stage of new bungalows and villas should all be ready by Christmas.
When florist Keith Stevenson received this letter, he thought it was a government department asking to register his business name. But a closer inspection of the document revealed that something was not quite right. It asks the business to send $165 within a fortnight, but gives no details of when, where or how the register will be published.
Having contacted Consumer Affairs, I was advised not to send any money, that it did appear to be a scam.
The letter from the company, calling itself the Consumer's Business Register, gives a Canberra address and phone number. But police inquiries have confirmed that both mail and calls are redirected to Queensland. Local and federal police have been alerted, and the Department of Fair Trading is already investigating. Keith Stevenson just wants other people to be aware of the scheme.
And I just feel for everybody in business, it's hard enough these days to make an honest dollar. Why should we be paying out to somebody who's sitting on his tail in some office and playing a scam on everybody?
NBN attempted to contact the company, but our calls weren't answered. Richard O'Leary, NBN News.
Stormwater runoff has proved an environmental headache for the James Mullen Developments Company at its Spoon Rocks Road estate. Neighbouring residents are blaming new erosion problems on the stormwater system and say the company's control measures are inadequate. A series of on-site inspections by the Soil Conservation Service hasn't yielded any result.
They've made certain recommendations as far back as November last year as to what should be done here, and not one of the recommendations that were made have been carried out.
Lake Macquarie Councillor Milton Orcopoulos says those recommendations were simply not passed on to the developer. At his request, Council has now ordered a probe to find out why.
I will make sure that Council will follow up every square inch of this estate and follow up the recommendations of the inspection party.
But it's all a furphy, according to James Mullen Development's Managing Director Greg Moylan. He says the erosion is the legacy of 50 years of mining and quarrying operations, and that his company has carried out the appropriate control and rehabilitation measures at its estate.
I think that's a continuing smokescreen that some of the residents are trying to fool the council into believing that in some way, by our actions, that the site and the environment is suffering.
The arguments of the company and the residents are sure to resurface when Council begins considering a new local environment plan for the Pinny Beach area early next month.
The campaign was launched today at the University of Newcastle's Central Coast Ourimbah campus. It revolves around the theme that young drivers are an endangered species, with almost a third of all road accidents involving drivers aged between 17 and 25. Both Gosford and Wyong councils are involved in the project, along with local police and the Roads and Traffic and Motor Accident authorities.
Basically, it's an awareness and also an education program. It's aimed at changing drivers' attitudes and behaviours on the road, and we've found that a lot of young drivers are taking risks.
The scheme encourages young drivers to slow down and never to drink and drive, also warning they should always wear a seatbelt and take plenty of breaks. Media advertising as well as community workshops are being used to spread the message, organisers hoping to reach a wide audience.
We also have community workshops which involve police and the Paralympians that come and speak on a one-to-one basis with young people about exactly what injury does and how it affects them.
Emma Ossian, NBN News.
Whether they like it or not, the people of Beresfield near Maitland may be about to join the mining community. Plans have been made public to develop an open-cut coal mine in the area. It follows a recent decision by the state government to mine near a vineyard at Muswellbrook when Planning Minister Craig Knowles pushed through special legislation, SEP 45, to get the project passed.
The change in the law in order to allow the Bengala project to go ahead has actually affected a general change in the law.
Law lecturer at Newcastle University, James Miller, says the new law means the government can get developments through more quickly than before, and that means anyone opposed to coal mining at Beresfield should act soon.
They want to make their voice heard a little more quicker, sooner and sharper, and take it straight to their local politicians, but also straight to the state government.
Peter Ryan, NBN News.
They seek to really de-unionise workplaces. They seek to put people on individual contracts or enterprise-based unions, whereas the workers really won't know what their entitlements are.
There was nothing between Hamilton and Cessnock at Darling Street Oval. Within the opening minute, the home side nearly broke through, while Lionel King's flying solo effort soon after nearly put the visitors on top. Desperate for the competition points, the Warriors attacked at every opportunity but couldn't find the net early on. When they did, it was disallowed. A different story for Craig Howson. His effort was faultless, but Hamilton bounced back to win 3-1. In the State Soccer League, the Adamstown Rosebuds continue to disappoint in the second half of the competition. Last night beaten 3-1 by Sutherland, the match was billed as a preview of the grand final. In tennis, finals today of the New South Wales Country Championships. In the women's, top seed Michelle Summerside in the black lost her first set against Grafton's Vanessa Kratz and was twice down a break in the second. The tournament favourite from Kiama struggled with her serve, leaving Kratz 2 match points. Summerside rallied, taking the set to a tie-break, but again it was her serve that let her down. Kratz winning the final 6-4, 7-6, crowned country champion. And still city rivalry in the men's competition decider. Newcastle's William O'Neill up against Andrew Bronneberg from Wollongong. The big serving number 4 seed won the first set, but was overcome in 3. O'Neill home 5-7, 7-6, 6-3. A strong crowd at Townsend Oval this afternoon to see Souths battle the league frontrunners Lakes United. 5 wins shy of the Seagulls on the ladder, the Lions took it up to the competition favourites. Up 2-0, the home side crowd was given a sniff of more points when South Newcastle found open space, but Lakes' great cover defence swarmed. That effort thwarted, the visitors had no answer to Richard Worry. 6-0, a penalty apiece each side of the break kept the margin at 6, but facing only their second defeat this season, Lakes applied the pressure, running in their first try of the match. 5 minutes later, Lakes again had numbers. And when Paul Jeffries took a punt on himself, the visitors thought they had it all wrapped up. But the Lions hit back with everything to give halfback Darren Forward a fitting result in his 100th first-grade game.
It's the most common form of dementia, a devastating disease where sufferers lose social skills, memory and intelligence over months or years. Around 1.5% of people aged 65 have Alzheimer's, and the incidence increases with age. 1 out of 4 people will be afflicted with the disease by the time they're 80. There is no effective treatment for the condition. An existing drug can have side effects and is not suitable for everyone. Researchers at Newcastle's John Hunter Hospital are hoping that will change following the 6-month trial of the new drug. The treatment relies on correcting chemical imbalances in the brain. It aims to improve memory and hopefully slow down the progress of dementia. Results from overseas studies have so far been positive.
If this drug proves to be effective and without any side effects, that will be a breakthrough.
Sarah Griffiths, NBN News. Family Daycare is a non-profit community childcare service. 20,000 mothers across the state who collectively look after 100,000 children in their own homes. The funding cuts would close those offices set up to recruit and train carers, run police checks and ensure carers comply with strict regulations. The rumour has spread panic. Carers and parents believing the cuts will seriously affect the standards of childcare facilities.
I'm worried about the family daycare or any kind of child care becoming a backyard operation. It's a worry because it's been identified as one of the greatest risks to young children, unmonitored, unregulated childcare.
There's also concern that working parents will be forced to leave their jobs to look after their children themselves. The Family Daycarers Association is already putting up a fight, planning a meeting tomorrow night at Wallsend Silverstream Neighbourhood Centre.
We're calling the meeting because we want to make people aware of what's happening. Even though it's only a rumour, we want to let the politicians know that we as daycarers aren't going to sit back and just let it happen.
Sarah Griffiths, NBN News.
Telstra workers in Newcastle downed tools for more than 2 hours. 450 of them met at the Workers' Club linked by a landline to the main meeting in Sydney. Up to 300, or about a third of the Newcastle workforce, could be axed under Telstra and government moves to streamline the communications giant. Cuts, the union says, just aren't on.
We don't have people sitting around waiting for jobs to come in. All our people are out there in the field working, to the point that we have supervisors that are not doing their job supervising.
While the mood at the local meeting was of anger, the workers voted overwhelmingly not to strike just yet, supporting moves for political pressure on the Howard government.
It is not the customers of Telstra that we are fighting, it is the government and Telstra management, and we'll continue that fight in that vein.
Peter Ryan, NBN News.
It's a classic example of youth helping youth. Young apprentices, many of whom were previously unemployed, are building Wyong's first recreational centre for young people. For first-year apprentice Steve Clark, it's a good feeling, finally working and learning new skills.
First being able to actually do something, because you can actually see that we've built something here. And I can stand up the top in the morning and go, oh, that's what we did yesterday, and it looks really good.
Wyong Council has funded the initiative, but the Watanabe Centre is a group effort. Central Coast Group Training is building the centre. A non-profit organisation, it offers traineeships and building experience to people who would otherwise be unemployed.
It's one of the best things we can do. It's quite exciting to come up here and see young people who are a bit down the mouth when they get here. Not too long, and they're getting real skills and real jobs, and they feel terrific, and so do we.
The federal government provides funding for the on-site trainers. The youth centre will be a base for employment, arts, sport and leisure activities. It's expected to be completed in September. Sarah Griffiths, NBN News.
The drivers sat and waited. More than 80 heavy trucks were in the queue. The truckies are angry, saying they've had extended waits all week. These trucks cost the owners $90 an hour just to stand idle. Port Waratah Coal Services, the owner of the Kooragang Coal Terminal, says today's delay was caused by a mechanical problem.
This morning we've had a breakdown of a stacker here at our Kooragang Coal Terminal. That has led to a coal blockage which required clearing.
The truckies say staffing levels are too low at the Kooragang Coal Terminal, and that's the base of the problems. It's a claim that management completely denies. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
Western Suburbs entered last night's match against Waratah Mayfield red-hot favourites. Despite their 98-point win last weekend, the competition leaders were given an early scare by the Cheetahs, but crunching defence kept the visitors out. With the ball, the Rosellas were just as impressive. Peter Chapman shrugged off the opposition to turn defence into attack. His dash to the try line cut short by the Maroon and Golds, but it was only a matter of time before the home side finally broke through. Steve Storey sold the Cheetahs a dummy, and a turn of pace was right on the money as Western Suburbs ran in their first points of the match. A formality for Scott Bradley set the tune for the rest of the game. Waratah had its chances to come back but were simply outplayed as West maintained their position on the top of the ladder with the best for and against record in the league. At Charlestown netball courts this afternoon, the battle between 3rd and 4th in the Division 1 League, and there was nothing between the sides for most of the first half. Blustery conditions did their best to spoil scoring opportunities. Up front, Jodie Dunning was the standout with 10 first half goals. 16 all at the break, and with the finals looming, Charlestown did its best. Melissa Laudadio also among the points, but the visitors came back to win by 2. Novos remain on top of the Newcastle Women's Hockey Premiership, beating Oxford's. The competition leaders were rarely troubled in today's Division 1 game, finding their first goal only minutes into the match. In a game that failed to reach any great heights in the men's league, West were too strong for the Tigers. 2 first-half goals set the standard for the Red and Greens as they went on to win 4-0. Soccer and West Wallsend made the trip to Lyle Carr Oval this afternoon, but Highfield's Michael Williams was determined to send them home without the points. Up 1-0 after only 10 minutes, the season's leading goalscorer Brett McCauley then slammed home his 15th goal of the season. At the siren, 3-0. And Newcastle has suffered another defeat in Rugby Union's AAMI Cup. Struck down with the flu, the Wildfires couldn't match it with Eastern Suburbs in Sydney today, losing 37 points to 12.
Flanagan's Drive near Black Hill has taken a heavy toll. 6 people have been killed in the last 7 months, and locals say something has to be done.
It's got to be done immediately. We haven't got any time. The accidents are already happening, people are being killed. It's got to happen immediately.
After a public outcry and a series of meetings, the local member John Price has called for a reduction in the speed limit from 90 to 80 kilometres an hour.
There's a public perception out there that something has to be done, and I think reducing the speed is a reasonable request.
According to locals, the main problem is that drivers leave the Sydney to Newcastle freeway travelling at 110 k's, hitting Flanagan's Drive too quickly.
We still need to have some sort of signage or flashing lights, something to indicate to through traffic that they are now coming off the freeway conditions onto a lower standard road.
The move to a reduced speed limit has been welcomed. It's hoped that with a higher police presence, the danger can be reduced. Peter Ryan, NBN News.